Monsters do have their place. In the zoo, in your nightmares, in the deep, in your favorite horror movies. But not in your living room, on your TV.
Why are TV shows so often the focus of controversy more than movies or other entertainment media? It's because of their easy accessibility. That means when a show does something controversial, more viewers are likely to see it. Keep watching to learn about the most controversial scene in TV history. Mr. Rogers opens up about the Cold War. Yes, even Mr. Rogers has had a few bouts with controversy. The time he washed his feet with his African-American neighbor, Officer Clemens, at the height of racial tensions during the Civil Rights Movement. It's now looked back on fondly. His episodes that attempted to help children deal with the conflict of the Cold War in the 80s didn't have the same fate. There were 5 of them. Mr. Rogers said, quote, "This show gives us a chance to talk about war and about how it's essential that people learn to deal with their feelings and to talk about things and resolve conflicts." Most of the episodes were pulled from syndication. 2 found their way back. The Encounter, The Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone was an anthology series. Each individual episode was like a parable meant to deliver a message with a wild twist. It wasn't afraid to push boundaries to deliver these messages. Season 5, Episode 31, titled The Encounter, was one of their most controversial. It aired in 1964 at the height of racial tension. There are only 2 characters. George Takei plays a Japanese American, and Neville Brand plays a WW2 veteran. They have a confrontation where the battle is fought not with guns but with words. The veteran reveals how he still resents the Japanese due to his experiences in the war. They both confront their past until it all leads to a shocking ending, a standard of the Twilight Zone. It was considered too controversial at the time. The Encounter was pulled from syndication and didn't air again for years. Today, it's seen as a bold exploration of themes that weren't addressed at the time. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Buffy went from a flop of a film to a successful TV franchise. There were a few episodes that left fans' spines tingling for the wrong reasons. Spike's assault. There are plenty of ways to show a character who can't be trusted, but Buffy went a bit too far. It showed the vampire Spike trying to rape the show's titular hero after they broke up. It was an important moment for his character development. This was his rock bottom, which showed how far he had come when he eventually became a better man. Still, there could have been a less controversial way to go about it. The school shooting episode. Another Buffy episode became controversial due to its association with real-world events. Earshot was a Season 3 episode. It was meant to air in April of 1999. The plot featured a character loading a rifle in the clock tower of a school. The episode was pulled after the tragic Columbine High School shooting in September of that year. Edith's 50th birthday, All in the Family. All in the Family didn't shy away from most topics. It was willing to deliver biting social commentary on almost anything. Season 8, Episode 4 aired in 1977. It was one of the most controversial of the series and took on the topic of sexual abuse. Edith Bunker is nearly raped. What made it worse was the reveal that the man who attempted it had already assaulted her. The place of a laugh track during the event makes it even more disturbing. Sexual assault was almost never discussed in mainstream TV, much less in a sitcom. Maude's Dilemma, Maude. Maude also opened up about taboo topics. Take Season 1, Episode 9, Maude's Dilemma. It shows Maude deciding to get an abortion. It also delved into the emotional and moral impact of her decision.
When you were young, abortion was a dirty word. It's not anymore. Now you think about that.
This was the first time the topic was ever discussed on a primetime show. Lois's abortion. Family Guy. Abortion was brought up again years later in a cartoon that's never been afraid of controversy. Lois became a surrogate for a couple who died in a car accident. She has to decide whether to keep the baby, and Peter tries to persuade her, but she decides not to. Critics responded favorably to the episode, but it was pulled from broadcast. The Beavis and Butthead Fire. The discussion of how much media influences the behavior of those who watch it has been going on for decades. Shows can often become scapegoats when tragedies occur, as the world seeks someone or something to blame. Even comedies like Beavis and Butthead experience this. It happened after a 1993 episode where the title characters talk about how fun fire can be.
Cool. Fire, 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 fire.
Even though the show is meant for teen audiences, it was blamed for inspiring a 5-year-old to play with matches. They said it led to a fire that tragically took the life of his sister. The show was also blamed for another fire that August. Home, The X-Files. The X-Files was a weird show involving all sorts of anomalies and mysteries. That was part of its charm. There was one time it strayed from weird to disturbing. That was the 1996 episode Home. Its plot centered around the Peacock family. They were secretive and deformed as a result of incest. The episode was pulled after one appearance on the air. Ellen Comes Out. Ellen DeGeneres' sitcom was an example of life imitating art. In a 1997 episode, she told Laura Dern, her love interest, that she was gay. Even though Ellen herself had come out a few days before, this was the first time a leading character on TV had ever done so. Many thought it was well handled, but the show reportedly lost sponsors, and it hurt Ellen and Laura's careers. Sexual assault, Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones had plenty of gratuitous sex and violence, but it rarely got worse than the 5th season in 2015. Ramsay Bolton rapes his new wife, Sansa Stark. Theon Greyjoy can only stand and watch. Critics and fans were appalled. The once popular show lost many viewers. The ones who stuck around weren't pleased with its ending either. 200 and 201, South Park. South Park is one of the most beloved and most controversial TV shows at the same time. Every episode has probably angered someone somewhere. That's why it's no surprise it has the #1 most controversial scene in TV history. The difference between them and other controversial scenes is they satirize everything in the world that they think needs to be satirized. They didn't just lambast real topics or emotions, they're willing to poke fun at living, breathing people. In 2010, they released 2 of their most controversial episodes. The 2-part special included Season 14, Episode 5, known as 200, and Season 14, Episode 6, 201. They parodied actual influential figures such as the Prophet Muhammad. It was so controversial it led to protests and death threats. Comedy Central responded by censoring key moments. They released an altered, shorter version of the special to stop the conflict. Controversial SNL sketches. SNL is almost like a live-action South Park. There's nothing it won't touch in its sketches, but that often causes controversy. Richard Pryor and Chevy Chase word association sketch. This simple sketch was considered too racially charged for the time. It turned what could have been a funny exchange into a controversial one. SNL nude beach sketch. SNL has pushed the envelope from the beginning. They're a satirical show that responds to the world by making fun of it, and basically nothing is off limits. One of the most controversial sketches was in 1988. Matthew Broderick hosted. He appeared alongside stars like Dana Carvey, John Lovitz, Kevin Nealon, Dennis Miller, Nora Dunn, and Victoria Jackson. They took the opportunity to use the word penis for the first time on air and ran with it like children who had just learned their first naughty word. It even ends with the penis song, which includes the word 28 times in under 5 minutes. The Simpsons in Rio. The Simpsons got on the bad side of a country. This time it was Brazil. Their 2002 episode showed the family having a less than pleasant trip there.
What a charming neighborhood.
Mom, these are slums. The government just painted them bright colors so the tourists wouldn't be offended.
Works for me.
Yeah, check out the rats.
Ooh, they look like Skittles.
Brazil's then president, Fernando Henrique Cardoso, was infuriated. He insisted it showed a, quote, distorted vision of Brazilian reality. James L. Brooks was the executive producer of The Simpsons. He issued a tongue-in-cheek apology. Now it's time to hear from you. Which of these moments shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments section below.